Hi guys, we're back with another session number 9 with Gerry McGovern, the developer of Task Method. Gerry actually has developed Top Task, which is a customer experience management model, which is a result of, I think, 15 years of research and experience. And Top
Hi
Task,
guys, we're back with another session number 9 with Gerry McGovern, the developer of Task Method.
Sorry guys, I had this open on my phone to make sure everything is good.
Okay, no problem.
Going back to Gerry, he is a highly regarded speaker, has spoken on digital customer experience in more than 35 countries, and has written 7 books on digital customer experience. And his latest one, actually, he corrected me, it's called Worldwide Waste. So I'm very excited to have Gerry today and listen to his keynote talking about environmentally friendly commerce. So Gerry, I'm going to pass the mic to you.
Thank you very much, Giuliani. Welcome, everybody. The world is sick. The world is in a crisis. The earth has a major challenge, and the major challenge is actually the human being. The world is not enough for us. If we all lived like people in the United States, we would need 5 times the Earth's resources to actually live our lives, to buy our things, to buy our cars, to buy all our gadgets and devices. The world is stressed. There used to be 450 trillion trees on this planet, on this Earth. How many do you think there are now? $300 trillion. Still a lot of trees, but they are diminishing every single year. 3 trillion trees, 15 billion are being cut down every year. We replace 5 billion. So there's a net loss of 10 billion a year. 10 billion trees that we are losing every year. What do trees do? They recycle moisture, they create shade, they stimulate cloud formation, they protect biodiversity. One of the problems that we have with all of these trees being cut down is that we are going into places that we never went into before. We are building roads deep into jungles and rainforests. And often out of those rainforests come wild animals and come many of the infections that we are facing now. The destruction of the Earth's biosystem is causing a lot of stress on multiple different areas. The tree, an average tree absorbs about 10 kg of CO2 per year. So planting one tree will get rid of about 10 kg of pollution. Email spam. To deal with email spam, there's about 300 billion emails sent every day, and about 150 billion of those are spam. To deal with the pollution caused by email spam, we would need to plant 1.6 billion trees. To deal with the pollution relating to annual e-commerce returns in the United States, not e-commerce, just e-commerce returns. E-commerce returns run at 3 times higher than traditional returns run at. We would need to plant 1.5 billion trees. 200 million trees are cut down every year just for e-commerce return packaging. 200 million trees cut down every year just to deal with e-commerce returns. Everything in digital is physical. Everything digital consumes energy. both in its production of the device from which we interact and in the transfer of the data. There are about 1.9 trillion yearly searches on Google. To deal with the pollution caused by those searches, we should plant 16 million trees. We can't do this. We're not able to do this. We're cutting down far more trees than we are actually planting at this moment in time. So here's some ideas of some new ways of thinking, some new ways, not just thinking about the customer experience or the organization experience. What I would challenge you is to think about the earth experience. How do we design for a good earth experience? How do we take into account, as we are making our decisions, to send out 50,000 emails or whatever we are doing? How do we begin to think, what's the impact on the earth of this behavior? Because humans have gone wild in the last 40 or 50 years. We have reached a level of consumption that is vastly greater than at any period in human history. We are consuming raw materials at a pace unheard of 40 years ago. We buy 5 times more clothes than we did 20 years ago. We wear them half as long. How can we design a different model? A model which no longer creates such obscene quantities of waste, which no longer creates so many products and services that are utterly irrelevant and that are thrown away so quickly. Here's an idea. Here's your website. You've come to the page of choosing the shipping option, right? And there are 2 options. One says international, tracked, signed and delivery. The other says express. One is much faster than the other. And we all want fast, don't we? Even though we're not going to use the thing for a week, we still want it in a day, because we're all fed on speed. So what does fast do to the world? What does fast delivery mean? If you've got fast delivery, your truck is going to be less full. It's not going to be as optimized. You're going to be creating more waste. In all likelihood, you'll be driving faster, creating more waste, more unnecessary waste. The driver will be more stressed. You'll have to have larger stock levels to deal with these faster delivery timelines. And certainly, if you're dealing with food, you'll be having more waste from carrying that stock. So fast delivery has a cost to the earth. Fast delivery has a cost to the environment. Imagine a new environment where we come to this, and instead of seeing these options, international, tracked and signed delivery, DHL Express, we see this. We see, do you want the express delivery or do you want green delivery? Green delivery is better for practically everybody. How many of us really need the Amazon delivered in an hour or delivered in a day? We need to wait more. We need more patience, and we need to design for a design that helps the environment as much as it helps the bottom line. Because if we don't have a healthy earth, we don't have a future as a human race. Other ideas. This interesting company called Repack, reusable and return packaging. 30 or 40% of landfill waste in the US is packaging. Packaging has become the product. Packaging has become an obscene activity. The quantity of material consumed by packaging, which is just thrown away, is incredible. Is this the future we want to create for our children and for our grandchildren? Packaging and plastics. Geologists are saying that they can now see in the sedimentary layer a layer of plastic. That in 1,000 years, when they look back to this period from 1980 to 2080, they'll remember it as the plastic period. By 2050, it's estimated there will be as much plastic in the sea as there will be fish. We are the throwaway generation. We are the throwaway culture. Is this the future of e-commerce? Is this what it wants to be encouraging? In 2005, a typical web page weighed about 400 KB. By 2010, it was 700. By 2015, it was 2 megabyte. By 2020, an average page was about 4 megabyte. That is obscene. For what? Have we made the web experience 10 times better? What do we get for all of this stuff? That average web page at 4 megabit, if it was downloaded 600,000 times, it would create as much waste as one tree can absorb in a year. So downloading a 4 megabyte page 600,000 times will create as much waste as one tree can absorb in the year. We must reduce page weight. Right now, we are doing some work with the World Health Organization, helping make the coronavirus information simpler and easier to find. Before the crisis, about 55% of people were accessing the website using a mobile device. Now it's over 70%. What's the experience like for an average person with an average phone trying to download a 4 megabyte page? There was a study that I saw recently that said it's now taking on average over 20 seconds to download a great many pages on typical mobile devices. That is horrendous. We should be ashamed of ourselves as an industry for creating this obscenity of grossly over-designed and lazily designed websites and web pages. And storage. People say storage is no cost. Let's just store. Storage may have a low cost, but a low cost is not no cost. We have created more data in the last 2 years than in all of previous history. We are now talking about zettabytes. If you were to print out 1 zettabyte in books, you would need 20 trillion trees. You would need 6 times more trees than all the trees on the planet right at the moment. Just 1 zettabyte. In 10 years, they expect that there will be over 2,000 zettabytes of data. 90% of that data is crap. 90% of data is never accessed, is never used 3 months after it's stored. We take all these photos, 100 photos, and 90 of them are terrible. And we don't spend the time to get rid of the useless ones. We don't spend the time to go through our site and clean up the useless pages, the out-of-date pages. Nobody wants to clean up. Nobody wants to maintain. All we want to do is create, produce, generate, publish. Think of storage, archival storage, which is a deep process of storing content. The best storage option is the deletion option. But let's say you're going to archive. which means that the data will not be easily accessible because it's stored in a more offline type of format. You see that tiny little dot? That's the equivalent amount of pollution that a gigabyte of archived data will create in a year. If you use cool storage, which is a type of storage up from archival storage, this is a much pollution. If you use hot storage, which is a level with greater access than cool storage, this is how much pollution. And if you use the premium option that cloud providers give you, this is how much pollution you'll be creating. The difference between storing data in a premium model and storing data in an archival model is about 150 times in energy and pollution. We need to think about how we organize our content, think about how we store it, think about how we manage it, and get rid. Most organizations that I have dealt with, e-commerce organizations over the years, when they deleted 80% of their website, they sold 50 or 100% more. Our capacity to create junk is unheralded. We are extraordinary as a species at creating crap. And we are extraordinary of not dealing with the crap that we create. So we have created this world, this digital world, that is stressing the earth. And most of the world we create is useless. We don't even use it. We store it, but we don't even use it. We have created 10 billion smartphones. We recycle much less than 20% of them. They are designed so they can't be recycled. Most smartphones have about 60 materials in them. So the only way you can recycle them is to smelt them. They are deliberately designed not to be recycled. What sort of people create that model? Guaranteed waste. JavaScript. JavaScript has grown by 600% between 2011 and 2019. Typical JavaScript file now, or an average, can be around 370 KB. And that's compressed. JavaScript generally comes down as a compressed file. When it's uncompressed, it's over a megabit. Oh, it doesn't sound like a lot, a megabyte. JavaScript is code. A megabit of code, of JavaScript code, will typically take an average phone about 12 seconds to process. And you know, 90% of the JavaScript is crap. It's unnecessary. We were just too lazy to figure out the JavaScript we really needed. We need to change our models. This is JavaScript in 2011, JavaScript in 2019. Custom fonts have grown by 850% between 2011 and 2018. Sure, there's occasions when we need a font, a different font. But do we really need all these custom fonts? And they all add weight. Every single one of them, the bold, the italic, whatever. Images and videos are the core driver of weight. This was an image I saw after I signed in at an airport a couple of years ago for Wi-Fi. Look, I've signed in for Wi-Fi and this is the image. Hello? Yes. Is that the Department of Useless Images? Yes. This is the Department of Useless Images. How can I help you? Well, we're looking for something to put on the page after somebody has successfully signed in for Wi-Fi. Interesting. How about a picture of a man and a woman? The man is reading a magazine and the woman is reading a book. Oh, that sounds wonderful. It has got absolutely nothing to do with the sign-in process, but it's a big, beautiful, stupid image. And that's exactly what I expect from the Department of Useless Images. Most of our images are useless, totally unnecessary. I'm not talking about product images. Product images can be genuinely useful. We often need more product images, but properly optimized. But so much of what we create has no purpose. It's just totally reactive. It's totally habitual. And it is much more for the ego of the marketing manager than for the requirements of the customer. Pixel density, right? 1x is about 1 megabit. Right, let's assume these ratios. At 2x, it moves to 4 megabits. As we increase the density, we exponentially increase the file size. Now, essentially, the human eye can only see up to about 4 megabit, 2x density, somewhere between 2x and 3x. And yet now we are boasting, that Samsung is telling us about its 8K phones, that nobody can see the difference. And the amount of waste that's occurring because of those phones. At 3x, it's 9 megabit. At 14x, it's a 16 megabit file. We are creating 16 megabit files for nothing, when a 4 megabit file would totally work, right? And this is at the highest resolution possible. We are creating 4-5 times the size of images in many situations than are needed. These are 2 images. One of them is at 2x, one of them is at 4x. Can you notice the difference? We can't notice the difference. There is so much useless innovation going on today. And we are buying these things that absolutely have no purpose other than we can say to our friends, I've got an 8K phone. That's a horrendous way to live. And that's why the earth is sick. It's one thing to actually be using our phones and doing things that are productive, but in creating waste that has no benefit to anybody, how can we do things like that? Strategies, lots of properly optimizing and things like lazy loading, which means that the image only loads when you've scrolled down to the point where you need it. There are techniques, if we really look at them, where we can properly optimize and increase the performance of our page. The faster the pages download, the less weight in the page, the less weight on the earth. The better for the environment, the better for the future. And many of these images are actually counterproductive. We saw studies from an insurance company where they tested 2 images, or two treatments. One for a 4OK, this was in the United States, right, with an image, and the other just with plain text. In all the metrics, the plain text performed better than the image. From an accuracy point of view, people were asked, how accurate do you feel this content is? Without the image, over 90% said yes. With the image, less than 80% said yes. In quite a few situations, images turn customers off. Fake images equal fake news. People are becoming more and more cynical. So often the thing that we think will impress people is the thing that makes people suspicious. And the fake image of the fake actor smiling, yes, sometimes it'll fool some of the people, But increasingly, a lot of the people are becoming more and more cynical to this old style marketing. Marketing is like antibiotics. We are becoming more and more immune to it. Icons. We love icons. Look at these icons. What do they mean? Right? IT support, personalized, job board, internal audit, departments. Icons are an absolutely useless form of navigation in the vast majority of situations. The web is still a word-driven medium. If you're going to use an icon, if you need an icon, make sure you put text underneath it. In a study by user testing, they found that label icons had an 88% findability. Unlabeled icons were at 60%, and unique icons, which are most icons, there's very few icons that are universally understood. Only 34% of people could understand. Visuals are a very poor device for navigating an environment. The word still dominates, and the word is the most environmentally friendly approach to design. Text is 1,000 times lighter than images. Think of your devices on these on a day-to-day basis. The more we move to smaller devices, the less energy we are consuming. Desktops and monitors consume much more energy than do tablets or notebooks. Going to smaller devices. So if we're buying a new device, a work device, buy a laptop, not a desktop. Make sure you get best energy ratings. Don't use large screens if you can avoid them. Don't use screensavers. Shut down when you're not using. Monitor off after 5 minutes idle. Make sure you shut down at night, and make sure you shut everything off at night. I used to do these things. Shut off the network. Shut off everything at night. The printer. Using your mobile phone, minimize notifications, disable location services, go to airplane mode occasionally, remove unused apps. Think hard before you download an app. Keep battery life above 50%. Short charges are better. Dim the screen and use dark mode. It can be up to 30% more energy efficient. Constantly think about the energy that you're using and about designing for an earth experience. If you're in your offices, make sure you're using Wi-Fi. Right? Wi-Fi is 15 times more energy efficient than 3G. So 15x less pollution than 3G. 4G is 23 times. And the wonderful 5G creates 80x more pollution. We get the crap down faster. Is this where we want to go? There are something like 1.7 trillion billion websites. 1.7 billion websites. We don't need that many websites. Go back and see what you can delete. Every day you come into your office, you say, what am I going to get rid of today? What am I going to delete? Stop constantly thinking about what you're going to create. Spend time on what you're going to remove, what you're going to simplify. Because in many situations, I absolutely guarantee you, and this is from doing this work for 25 years, that simplifying and stripping away is often the best possible strategy for the customer. Keeping it simple, keeping it light can help the customer, can help the organization, and it will most definitely help the earth. Let's design for a better earth experience. Thank you very much.
I had no mute. I had on mute because I'm in tears after Gary's keynote. Sorry guys about that. Just thank you, because this was extremely, I think all of us are blown apart, and it was a wake-up call for all of us. So thank you so much for this.
You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome.
Thank you. And
Thank
guys,
you.
thank you for participating to Gary's session, and his new book is called Worldwide Waste. So see you in the next session. Thank you, Gerry.
Thank you.
As an e-commerce manager, you want to stop spending money on expensive ads. OmniConvert Explore helps you improve conversion through A/B testing, personalization, and surveys. Understand that growth is also a matter of retention, not only acquisition. With OmniConvert Reveal, you'll understand segments, monitor customer experience, and nurture your customers on every channel.